without Treasury. So I think the real key to all of this is the motivation itself in the sector of institutions like your own. If people are committed to doing this and there's a desire to become investable, and we have a very clear focused strategy, you heard Daniel on the last panel talk about the proposed strategy. We've had very, very good feedback on this from a number of funders. I think it's not inconceivable that we could raise the funds to start the Platinum Fund outside Treasury. Moreover, Treasury said to us, if we can't change statutes and we can't do a carve-out, nothing stops us from essentially having a gentleman's agreement and funding these institutions without a formal agreement. Moreover, we can find other ways to help you through technical assistance funding and maybe two of the statutory funds that the Deputy Undersecretary spoke about today, that there are these two statutory funds, the 30 million fund, which I understand was tapped out at $4 billion, that they're not taking it further. But the comment from Treasury was, well, they're in existence, they're statutory, we don't have to create anything new. So I was very blunt. And I've worked with governments all around the world, and mostly governments don't want to do it when you start with them. If you bring difficult problems to them, there's always a reason why things can't be done. And my job over the years has been telling them how and why they should be doing it and how they can get it done. And I've had a fairly good track record in getting very difficult things done, not only in microfinance, but in a variety of areas. And I believe that, and I told the Treasury, our job of our team and working with AEO is not to let you tell us you can't get it done, but to work with you and tell you how you can get it done and to make sure that happens. So it may be a slog. Treasury may take time. There is no CDFI fund director, but we're working steadily with Treasury, and I believe we have a good shot at it. And if not Treasury, we'll move on and we'll talk to funders and then later come back when Treasury's in a position to do it. It's not something I would give up on very easily, frankly.
So there's hope on the horizon, and there are funders and investors in the audience. Paul, Joel, roll the clock forward and assume that SBA and Treasury wake up tomorrow, Paul, and engage in your idea, and Joel, Dream Fund is where it is in 3 years. What does the future look like to the two of you in your crystal ball, and what are the 2 or 3 things that you worry about most now to get us there?
Okay. If I had the optimistic view, first of all, Treasury and SBA would come to an agreement to launch at least a pilot program. Now, as I understand it, SBA can allocate about 10% of its authority to pilot program, so that's about $2.5 million. So let's say we get $1 billion of that $2.5 billion, optimistically. And Treasury agrees with a group of states or other sponsors of this sort of pilot program that it will, SBA agrees that it will come to some sort of agreement about the incremental credit subsidy costs associated with the product that needs to be delivered into the marketplace across a range of locations. And they say, okay, if you give us X amount of cash in this form, we will essentially give you a guarantee, allowing originators that you identify to make these loans, and we'll slap a guarantee that looks like this on top of those. Whether it's 75% or 80%, 85%, whatever it is, which allows the originator to sell it. And most importantly, I would expect to keep the documentation requirements as low as those associated with the SBA Express program. Because one of the reasons people don't like to make SBA loans, it is so crushingly expensive and difficult in some cases. And I've talked to some smaller lenders, they don't do it because it's just too much of a headache. So what you want us Now, that might have a cost associated with it too, but you want to combine the credit cost, credit subsidy cost, along with the increased risk associated with simplified documentation and make that a package deal. Then I'd leave it to the Dream Fund.
So Dream Fund is taking a crawl, walk, run approach to going to market. We're starting with a very small balance sheet, $500,000 from AEO. We're working with a very small number of CDFIs. And frankly, we haven't had any major snafus yet, but we will. That's why you crawl first. But the vision of Dream Fund is very big. And when I fast forward, I think 3 years is a good time frame, Tammy. I'm really excited by what I see. CDFIs will continue to make all the loans they make now, and hopefully they're making more of those loans. But when a borrower comes into a CDFI or any microfinance institution, they will then have an expanded menu of options. So a CDFI that currently can only lend up to $10,000, let's say, can serve the borrower who wants $25,000. The institution that only is comfortable making secured loans will be able to make unsecured loans, et cetera. More borrowers will be served, which means more impact in our communities, and it means that each CDFI will be generating more revenue with its same infrastructure, which means that we are on a path to sustainability and self-sufficiency. I'm really excited about that vision. I think it's the only way we have the impact we want to have. And I think it is happening, and there's no way, the future is very clear. That said, there is a lot of work to be done between now and then, beyond just ironing out the kinks before we take this prime time. Frankly, we're lining up additional capital because funders are important. You need to have balance sheet, you need funding. The good news is we've had really exciting early response from CRA funders, from philanthropic funders, and I hope if anyone here is speaking with anyone who they think should be a funder, that they pass along the message. The second area, of course, is that we're ramping up the number of institutions we partner with. We don't need large volumes from the institutions, we just need a keen interest in saying, hey, how can we expand our menu? How can we serve more borrowers? This seems like a real win-win, which it is. Why not say yes to folks you're saying no to? Why not take more revenue in for your institution? Why not have more impact in the community? But let's be honest, everything new requires evaluation. Even if you're not eating the risk of these loans, you still need to understand whom they're appropriate to. Do they make sense for your community? And that is some upfront work. But if you're excited about trying to have more impact and serve more customers, we'd love to talk with you.
So why not have more impact in our community? We're out of time. There's a lot of conversation that could be had, but please join me in thanking Brad, Joel, Paul, and Ira.
A shout out to Tammy. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you, Tammy.
Ladies and gentlemen, one special announcement. At the conclusion of the next panel, there will be boxed lunches available.